Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. Today's album review is on the 1983 album Working with Fire and Steel by China Crisis, a Scottish band. This is my second album review on China Crisis. I also did their 1985 album Flaunt the Perfection. Gave it a 76 out of 100. Really strong album, really enjoy it. Um, That's the only album that I actually have of theirs in full. I have a few greatest hits. This is actually the single, kind of similar artwork. That's why I put it there. Working on Fire and Steel. This is the maxi single from that year also, and then I have a few of their greatest hits. So I knew most of the songs going into this album. In fact, when I look, I actually knew 8 of the 10 songs already. But I've never so I was excited to hear 2 new songs and then also kind of rate the album because I do like China Crisis a lot, and I'd be curious to know if I like this album better than Flaunt the Perfection, which I really enjoy that album. And considering I know most of the tracks here, I had a good idea to be really close. So I was excited to kind of see where it is. One good thing about really China Crisis that I really like is their musicmanship, their use of different sounds and blending their different styles. They have like a dance side, a little bit of like sort of like a ska. Um, they have a synth pop, sort of a new wave. They're poppy. There's some jazz in there, and there's some rock in there, a little bit of rock. Sometimes they have some like ambient songs, like The Soul Awakening is really nice, right? Some of their B sides. Here Comes the Rain Cloud is a really nice melodic one. Like they have a good amount, and they also sort of have like a lounge sound and sort of like a northern soul to them. They're good singers. I really enjoy their voices as well. They're just really an underrated band in the history of 80s music. You talk to the regular person that loves new wave, they probably won't even mention China Crisis. But for those that know China Crisis, like they all really love them. And it's unfortunate because I would, I've never heard them come to like my area, and play a show, or I may have missed them, at some point in the last 35 years because I, didn't hear about it because they were playing a small show or something like that. But changed a little bit when you can follow them on the internet and stuff like that, and subscribe to their and see their tour and stuff like that, or get alerts from, you know, concerts, if they're coming to your area or, what have you. So there's a lot of different ways you can know now, but, back in the day it was just, you just didn't know. So they could just, oh wow, they played there. I could have saw that. It's just how it was back in the day. But I really enjoy China Crisis. One thing about their early albums too is their rhythm programming. Um, like on Piper and Animals and um, Papa and Wishful Thinking, even on Soul Awakening. There's some really nice drum programming going down here, and it's very it's very it's not like celebrated to where a point where it's like a dance song, but it's not shy too. They're not shy like, oh, we're using a drum machine. Let's try to hide it because we are very musical and we can play a lot of other instruments. No, it's perfectly mixed into the rest of the music, and then you're like listening to it, and it's a cool beat, like something like um, when the Piper calls or Animals in Jungles, and you're just listening to it, like it's a really cool beat, and you're like, that's a beat machine, and for them to use that in their sound and stuff like that, and still being like a northern soul, sort of have like a lot of soul, like uh, like flaunt the perfection, flaunt the perfection. The next album has a good amount of like funk in it and northern soul in it, and and has some soul songs in there, and to still have like a beat machine in there. That's so cool. It's so unique for the time. I don't think anybody else was really doing that. You think of even like Simply Red was a couple years later. They sort of did some soul music, right, with maybe some beat machines. Maybe maybe like on Money's Too Tight to Mention, but I think that was a drummer. But they do have Simply Red had an electronic sound early on, but this was even earlier, and obviously with like Flaunt to Perfection, they're producing with Walter Becker and from Steely Dan. It made that album sound really good, but this album sounds really good as well. And for 1983, just really, really, really think this is a really good album. Um, and another great thing is they're really good at harmonizing and doing melodies, layering their vocals. Sometimes both of them sing. You know, there's some really strong songs on here. Wishful Thinking, When the Piper Calls, Here Comes the Rain Cloud, Animals and Jungles, Soul Awakening. The production is very good on this album as well. When I look into the when I look into the albums, working with Fire and Steel, it's catchy, but it's a little corny. I mean, they also do like ska. Like that's another one they kind of, besides them doing like some jazz and sort of soul and even some like sort of ambient stuff and sort of jazz stuff. They also do some ska stuff. Like the African Skies has like a ska beat on it, right? Working with Steel, Fire and Steel sort of has a ska beat to it. This one's a little corny though. It's I like the electronic sounds, it's got a nice bounce to it, like the ska bounce to it. I think it's a very good track, 3 stars, but I don't like it probably as much as like some other people do. But I think it's a very good track, 3 stars. It's just not one of my all time favorites, but I do like it. It's a catchy song for sure. Um, but compared to some of the other ones, I mean, when the Piper Calls, 4 stars. The use of the drum machine, guitar riff, so smooth. The horns, keyboards, and sort of like the kazoo sound. Just everything about this track is awesome. 4 stars. Hannah Hannah is probably it's actually my least favorite on the album. Not a bad song. Got a 2.25 stars. Still a good song. It's pretty good. Animals and Jungles. I was really excited to hear. This is one of the 2 new ones that I had never heard before, and I really really enjoy this song. I played it for quite a few times in a row. I think it was last night. The chorus is really strong. The synth and the beat in the background, the background singing, the beat. Um, the singing with the chorus is just like magic. It's like so. The song is so carefree and perfect and nice sounding and warm and danceable and just really cool song. 3.75 stars. Also 3.75 stars for Here Comes the Rain Cloud. This is a beautiful atmosphere. The horn in here, perfect way to break up the album. Track number 5, kind of do the first half and the second half, sort of give it a nice break. This is a perfect track to do to break the album in two. Again, 3.75 stars. And then probably my favorite on the album, Wishful Thinking, 4.25 stars. Smooth. The main hook, keys are magic, strings are really nice. The way it's sung, it's just a beautiful song. 4.25 stars. Tragedy and Mystery is kind of a little quirky one. The chorus is okay. I do like the verses. Um, it's kind of sung kind of cool. It's got a cool bass, that's for sure. It is a little bit corny, and sometimes Giant Crisis does that a little bit. If you know the song, it goes tragedy and mystery, and you will see. It's kind of it's kind of corny, but it's cool. I do like it. 2.5 stars. Papa is 3.25 stars. Really nice groove, smooth. And then the other track I didn't know from the beginning is not bad. It's pretty good. It's The Gates of Door to Door. Gave it 2.25 stars. It's pretty good, but nothing really stands out. I do like the flutes are kind of nice. The melody is sort of okay. And then the last track, 4 stars, Soul Awakening. Smooth, soulful, melodic, and it's kind of dreamlike. Great atmosphere. The keyboards and the piano are magic. Perfect. So I got a really good stars on this album. 33 stars divided by 10 is 3.30. And that's really helped by 3 4-star tracks and then 2, 3, and 4 quarters. 3 and 3/4 stars. So 5 tracks, 5 of the 10 are above 3/4 stars or above. That's really strong. Um, Considering it's a 3.30 and what the overall album sounds like, it's right in the mid 70s. I gave it a couple extra points. I think it's a little bit better than Flaunt to Perfection, which I didn't think I would ever say about a China Crisis album was better than Flaunt to Perfection. I've always really loved that album, but I never heard this one. So now I got to hear the now I got to I think I know maybe half the tracks on their first album. So that will be an even more interesting one, the one with the African Skies on it. I don't think that one will be better than these two, but saying that again, but I feel like these two albums have most of the ones I can remember liking, which I do like 30 or 40 uh, China Crisis songs. Like I think I did a top 30 of their songs like last year, and yeah, I mean all these probably 7 of these 10 were on it. But just a really strong album, 79 out of 100. I got it right on the edge of being a classic. Um, just can't quite give it there. Um, I don't, when I think of the opportunities of it, I put nothing. There's really no opportunities of this album. Um, I can't think of really any opportunities on this album. Now there is 2 songs, in the pretty good range that are 2 stars, or I'm sorry, 3. So there's 3 songs in the 2s. So maybe if 1 or 2 of those would have been in the 3s, I could feel it like going into the 80s a little bit and being an all-time or a classic of the genre, like I like to say in the 80s, or excellent. But it's a really strong album. I got on the high side of very good. 79 out of 100. Really enjoy this album. Um, yeah, China Crisis working. I always forget it. Is it working with Fire and Steel? I always say working on Fire and Steel. Working with Fire and Steel. All right, thanks so much for watching. I'm just curious if you what are your top 3 tracks on here? Mine are Wishful Thinking, When the Piper Calls, and The Soul Awakening. Man, really good album. All right, thanks so much.